So we are ready to begin the meeting. For all of you here, we do have a full house, just so you know. It will take just a few minutes for the video to come up. That's what I'm waiting for, and that's when we're live streaming at that point in the recording. And we are now up. And so with that, I would like to call to order the April 24th, 2023 Lake Washington School Board meeting. Please let the record reflect that all 5 board members are present, as well as one of our student reps, Evan Kurtz. And with that, we'd like to start our meeting this evening with a land acknowledgement. And Director LaLiberty, I think you are going to read that for us.
Thank you. The Board of Directors of Lake Washington School District acknowledges that our district is on the indigenous land of the Coast Salish peoples, who have reserved treaty rights on this land, including the Duwamish and the Snoqualmie Indian tribe. We thank these caretakers of this land who have lived here since time immemorial. We commit to continue collaborating with our Native community to teach the indigenous history of this land and these local tribes to all children of the district. We also commit to provide the best possible education for all children of Native descent who attend our schools. Thank you, Director Bleasner.
Thank you. So the first item on our agenda this evening is to entertain a motion to approve our agenda.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Director Carlson and seconded by Director LaLiberty to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor, please signify by voting aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. So our first item this evening is we do have 3 proclamations this evening that are going to be read by different of our board members. Our first is Arts and Education Month, and Director Carlson will be speaking on this one.
Whereas the arts, including dance, music, theater, and visual arts, are defined as a core subject in Washington State's definition of basic education and considered an essential component of the complete and balanced education for all students. And whereas learning in and through the arts enables students to develop critical thinking and problem-solving skills, imagine and creativity, discipline, alternative ways to communicate and express feelings and ideas, and cross-cultural understanding, which supports academic success across the curriculum, as well as personal growth outside the classroom. And whereas imagination and creativity are increasingly understood as critical capacities needed for success in the 21st century workforce. And whereas the arts can transform our schools into havens of creativity and exploration, places where students want to learn, teachers want to teach, and all members of the learning community are more engaged and motivated. Therefore, we, the members of the Lake Washington School District Board of Directors, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2023 as Arts and Education Month in Lake Washington School District.
Thank you. Our next proclamation this evening is School Nutrition Employee Week. So, Director Choi.
Whereas nutritious meals at school are an essential part of the school day, and whereas the staff members who prepare and serve school meals help nurture our children through their daily interaction and support, and whereas the staff of the district's Nutrition Services Department are committed to providing healthful, nutritious meals to the district's children, and whereas Lake Washington School District has partnered with Sodexo to provide students with nutritious meal options for more than 40 years. Therefore, we, the members of the Lake Washington School District Board of Directors, do hereby proclaim the week of May 1st through 5th, 2023 as School Nutrition Employee Week in Lake Washington School District.
Thank you. Our next item on the agenda is a proclamation for Teacher Appreciation Week and National Teachers Day. So, Director Stewart, please.
I find it hard to believe that we're actually going to be able to confine this to a week or a day, or should. And bear with me, I broke my glasses on the way in here, so I'm a little cockeyed here. Whereas teachers mold future citizens through guidance and education and keep American democracy alive by laying the foundation for good citizenship, and whereas teachers encounter students of widely differing backgrounds and our country's future depends upon providing quality education to all students, and whereas Lake Washington School District teachers work to create learning environments that support the district's guiding principles of connection, value, and challenge, and whereas the teachers in Lake Washington School District deserve recognition for their hard work to help students achieve the district's vision of every student future ready. Therefore, we, as the Lake Washington School District Board of Directors, do hereby proclaim May 8th through 12th and Tuesday, May 2, as Teacher Appreciation Week and National Teachers Day in Lake Washington School District. And trust me, there are some of my past teachers that are now spinning in their graves the fact that I'm reading this.
Thank you. So our next item this evening is public comment. As you know, the Board of Directors of Lake Washington School District does welcome the public to our business meeting of the board and encourages in community engagement. The board does dedicate 30 minutes to hear from the public during a public comment period. Members of the public can sign up to participate in public comment on our district website at lwsd.org/board/public comments. As you all know, since you're here because you've sign up closes at noon on the day of the board meeting, and comments will be offered in the order of sign up, beginning with speakers in person, followed by virtual, and concluding with written comments as time allows. As you notice, we have significant numbers of people signed up this evening. If everybody takes 3 minutes, we will easily go past our 30 minutes. We are going to hold to the 30 minutes so that we're able to get through the rest of the agenda as well. Please know if you do not have the opportunity to speak this evening, you can always email the board directly as well, or you could speak with us at some point as well. So do know that we are working hard. So we do ask if you have heard your comments said already this evening, please feel free to skip when your name is called and allow somebody else to come up to do so, but we will be holding to that. So we do have the green, yellow, red light over here. So green is when it starts. Once we get to red, I will ask you to stop because that is the end of the 3 minutes. Yellow is about 2. All right, with that, we will start. So the first person I do have signed up is Tatiana Boggs. Thank you. And if you just come forward, say your name and sort of connection with the district would be really helpful, and place the mic down. That's helpful too. Thank you.
Awesome. Members of the board, my name is Tatiana Boggs, and I'm the choir director at Juanita High School and Finn Hill Middle School. I'm here today along with my colleagues from East Lake, Lake Washington, and Redmond. In February, an elementary parent reached out to ask why Kamiakin Middle School did not have choir. This continued a conversation that has gone over a decade long about the lack of equity within our district in regards to choir. When reaching out to the admin at Kamiakin, this was their rationale as to why choir was not in the course catalog. And I quote, "The reason that I took the class out of the course catalog is that offering the class but not running it left students feeling badly that their choice was not being honored. So it is okay for building admin to not only choose to not run classes but to remove classes altogether that are part of district programs. As a result of these circumstances, a petition to offer choir at Kamiakin began and has now reached over 250 signatures from community members. Kamiakin is a feeder into Juanita, therefore having no choral classes directly impacts the program. My admin communicated that unless there were 20 enrolled, choir would be cut without any conversation about how to solve the larger systemic issue, problem solving in regards to recruitment, as well as being told that communicating this with my families would be unprofessional. Thankfully, enough students have been recruited to run choir, but now we face the potential of losing jazz choir due to low numbers. However, jazz choir is an auditioned small ensemble, much like jazz band, and will not have accurate numbers until after auditions in the fall. In addition, it is currently the only advanced choral option at Juanita that provides students with the opportunity to develop a more advanced level of musicianship. If we are not able to offer this, we are deciding that our college-bound vocal students do not deserve a place to hone and grow their skills. Though the situation at Kamiakin and Juanita are dire, the problem that we face is a district problem. Inglewood currently has no option for 6th graders to join choir, and the 7th and 8th grade choir is being run as a club. Kamiakin and Inglewood alone make up 25% of all middle school students in our district. That means roughly 1 in 4 middle school students are not given the choice to join choir for credit. Yet Evergreen Middle School is running their choir with 15. This type of support is what should be occurring district-wide. Our district choirs have never received the amount of support that band and orchestra have, and this is not equitable. Choir is the most accessible ensemble of the 3, as it does not require years of experience to join at any level. There is no cost, and it offers numerous advantages to our students. With inevitable budget cuts in public education, why are we looking to cut programs that barely cost any money? The 3 things that need to be implemented in our district to be considered remotely equitable are: 1, elementary choir offerings beginning at the same grade as band and orchestra. Students should get the choice of all 3 ensembles. This will ensure that there are feeder programs in each part of the district. 2, every comprehensible Comprehensive middle school needs to offer at least one choir class in grades 6 through 8, and 3 district support and high school choral programs regardless of class enrollment, as the program growth at each grade level fluctuates on a yearly basis and needs time and consistency to grow, which includes offering 2 levels of choir at the high school level to offer a beginning and advanced option to meet the needs of our vocal students. We are not asking for a lot, we are asking for the bare minimum to give our students the opportunity to engage in art form that contributes to our students' growth as musicians and development into creative, expressive, collaborative, and empathetic members of our community. I'd just
Thank
like
you.
to ask that if you are here to support this, please stand. Thank you.
Thank you. I am going to ask that you hold the applause because that is going to limit our ability to get people through for public speaking. So I appreciate the enthusiasm, but in order for efficiency, I'd appreciate that we can just be able to move through. So thank you. Our next individual is Kenzie Bassioni. And please correct my pronunciation if I did not do that correctly. Kenzie, are you here? Okay, I'm not seeing them. We will go on to the next individual, Andrei Stasiuk.
It's a common name, apparently. Dear board members, my name is Andrei Stasiuk. Can you hear me? Sure, yeah. Let me know. Okay. Okay. Thank you for having me. I've been here on the last meeting, and since the last meeting, we've teamed up with a few more Quest parents to actually try to ask the community opinion for this change in the middle school science curriculum. We got more than 250 responses so far. 2/3 of them represented Quest parents, 1/4 represented students, teachers, staff, and community members represented the rest. Out of those, more than 93% supported continuation of self-contained science curriculum in middle school Quest. So that you don't have to take my words for it, I'll just group quotes in topics and present quotes as they are from the respondents. People are concerned about the decision-making process. They say, quote, "It is unjustified for a school district to unilaterally make such a significant change affecting 700 plus middle school students without first taking parent stakeholder input into consideration. This makes no sense. It's not coming from more Quest school options, better science program for all, different tasting for Quest. Nothing. It's just a dilution of the program. They are worried about equity. Quote, "Discontinuing a self-contained science class may disproportionately affect underrepresented Quest students who may not have access to enrichment opportunities outside of school. Without the support and resources of a gifted program, these students may not be able to reach their full potential." Understandably, they are worried about academics. Quote, "This change effectively leaves 7th and 8th graders with just Quest English and social studies. This seems extremely problematic for STEM-oriented students like our son. It is shameful for a district like Lake Washington School District, being in the heart of one of the largest and most vibrant tech scenes in the country, to be taking backward steps in STEM education. Participating in Quest Science this year made my daughter see that she does not in fact hate science. When it is taught at the right level, it has become one of her favorite classes. Taking this opportunity away is deeply disappointing. They are worried about disparity of teaching in a mixed classroom. People say, quote, "How can a teacher successfully differentiate coursework for a low-performance student who needs much more attention and repetition to master a concept versus a highly capable student who needs little attention but the same amount of attention?" They are worried about integration. The decision reduces classroom time with Quest peers, which is really the main benefit of the Quest program for our son. He thrives in a matching peer group of highly motivated and neurologically similar kids who understand each other, care about education, and can learn at a high pace. In contrast, our son feels emotionally uncomfortable and bored in non-Quest classes. And the very common theme they raised was about the feeder pattern. mainly all the West Side students said something like, quote, "The reason integrating students with peer is one I strongly disagree, because it doesn't apply at all to any Kamaikan students going to Lake Washington High School. Each of those students will be removed from any social connections made and forced to start over once again. If the social integration is so essential as the email states, I urge the district to also review the middle school Quest feeder patterns and open a new location at either."
I am going to have to ask you to wrap up at this point in time.
Sounds good. May I have one more quote from students?
Quick.
There are many quotes from students, but being a student in Quest, I think that the change in middle school Quest science will cause the feeling that all the hours Quest students put in to join the program will be cast aside as worthless, which could dishearten students and cause a general cloud of hopelessness above us. This comes from students. So we'll share.
I do need you to wrap.
Data. Okay, we'll share this data in written, but we ask you to please reconsider the decision.
Thank you. Please feel free to email that to us as well, because it appears
We'll do when we compile
Perfect.
the
Thank you.
results. Yes. Thank you.
So our next individual we have signed up is Andrei Spichak. The other, see, we're both right in the row. I do need to ask you to please come forward and start speaking, please. Thank you.
It's a combined Redmond, Eastlake, and Juanita High School choir with continuation of the choral support.
Thank you, and appreciate the enthusiasm and coming and singing, so thank you. So our next individual that we have signed up is Lars Myron.
Good evening, school board members. My name is Lars Myron, and I'm a proud alum of Juanita High School, class of 2009. I am thankful for the opportunity to speak to you all about the important action needed at the district level to expand the choral offerings available to students in your schools. I joined my first choir in kindergarten at Juanita Elementary, and 28 years later, still singing, and singing is core to my career and personal life. My time in elementary choir was magical. Something just clicked. I loved choir so much that when I was 10, I joined a community choir for more singing opportunities. Fortunately, this organization bridged a gap that was created when I moved up to Finn Hill Junior High and found that there wasn't a choir available to me during the school day. Not all students are so fortunate to have such a bridge. Finally, when I got to Juanita High School, I joined choir at school again to be able to sing with my peers. Fast forward a decade, I am now the executive director of Columbia Choirs, an Eastside-based nonprofit organization whose vision is a community where choral singing is essential and accessible to all. Not only have I kept singing in choir all this time, but I have created a fulfilling and successful career out of it. I can stand here today and truly say that because of choir at Juanita Elementary, I am a realization of the mission of Lake Washington School District, and that I'm, quote, leading a rewarding, responsible life as a contributing member of my community and greater society. Now, to speak as a leader of a community choral organization, these past few years I've experienced firsthand how the pandemic has negatively impacted enrollment in choirs across the region and country, as choir rehearsals were quickly labeled a high-risk superspreader activity. These effects have lingered on over the past few years as people remain more hesitant to participate in singing than other activities. The choral programs in your schools need your care and support now more than ever through this continued transition. These effects, paired with the fact that LWSD does not provide equitable access to choral offerings at all levels, greatly negatively affects the programs at the high schools. Without the opportunity for kids at certain schools to start singing when they are in elementary school and continue building those skills and that community through middle school, the programs that do remain at the high school will continue to suffer. In light of your proclamation tonight about May being Arts and Education Month, I wonder, how are the arts a core value of this district if you are leaving their success up to chance and pointing to individual schools and educators to carry the burden of building these programs? Tonight, I join the chorus of voices here to compel the leaders of this district to take bold action to support your students that need access to choir at all schools in the district so they too can grow up to live a rewarding, responsible life. Thank you for your time.
Okay, Dean. So our next person we do have signed up is Alexandria Reyes.
I'm not singing right now. Well, maybe I will. Good evening. My name is Alexandria Reyes. I'm a parent at Eastlake High School. I asked the board if we would please add choir to elementary, middle, and high school. You have just heard that the voices can be quite beautiful. We get to hear babies get to hear singing at a young age. In kindergarten, first grade, A, B, C, D, E, F, we learn. We learn through song. We learn how voice has a rhythm. We've learned how to speak up. We learn how to work as a team. We have a great deal of learning at a very young age. Those are the roots to education. It comes through song. We all sing. They had me in tears earlier. So beautiful. These kids have not sung together before. 3 high schools, first time together. We were able to hear that. They have the ability to speak up in public with ease. That's beautiful. One of the things that we've been dealing with right now has been COVID, and everyone's trying to get back on track. And one of the learning areas is learning how to talk, how to speak as a group, how to be heard. And this is really encouraged through song. by having song in elementary school helps build confidence, and it helps build reading abilities. It will allow a teacher to find the gaps where a student isn't able to be caught up yet. You know, we're always looking for the gaps in the reading. A child needs to have that encouragement. Singing is an excellent encouragement in that department. I am really hoping, I'm a lunch buddy, and I have a couple of kids. Unfortunately, their reading isn't there. I have a 5th grader who's in 4th grade, and her ability to read, she's probably pre-K kindergarten. I have another one who's like that too. Singing will help fill that gap for all of us to understand where those gaps are, and another way of help encouraging the child to read and learn. So I do hope that you will go ahead and encourage on your schedules to fill in singing in elementary school and middle school so it can be this beautiful voice in high school. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next person we have is Prisha Shah. Prisha Shah. Okay, so we will go on to the next person. The next individual is Divya Naliranajan. I guess I could get people on deck. After her will be Jack Beardall, just so that you're prepared.
I am a little emotional, so excuse my shaky voice. Good evening, faculty, staff, fellow peers and students, musicians, and friends alike. Thank you all for being here tonight. My name is Divya Naliranajan, and I am a senior at Redmond High School. I am currently the president of the RHS choir leadership team, participating in our jazz and chamber choir ensembles. As a student who has lived through Rosa Parks Elementary, Evergreen Middle School, and now Redmond High School choirs for over a decade now, it truly aches me to see this kind of decision considered. I believe LWSD can have students' best interest in heart if we make music matter in our schools. According to the Lake Washington School District website on the About Us page, the LWSD mission statement is as follows. Each student will graduate prepared to lead a rewarding, responsible life as a contributing member of our community and greater society. In my experience over several years, I've not seen more improvement and opportunity to contribute to our community than creating music and sharing that joy with society. Every good and responsible business has a well-thought-out mission statement and vision. I do worry that we are losing the importance of the children, families, and lives behind the Lake Washington School District. To paraphrase, the LWSD vision mentions having students be future-ready for college, global workspace, and personal success. With the skills I learned in choir, such as responsibility, dedication, perseverance, teamwork, social skills and bonding, and so much more, I see choir as a valuable resource for students of all ages. Music learning is especially helpful for developing brains and can have a massive impact on a student's social community as well. Through my experience, as I have heard from others as well, I have never seen a safer community than the arts departments. My choir and theater friends are irreplaceable, and my confidence improvement due to being involved in such supportive groups is parallel to no other extracurricular that I have participated in thus far. The memories and experiences I have gained due to the arts have truly humbled me, and I'm so beyond grateful to have gotten a chance to do them in my childhood. With all this said, music has a massive positive effect on all students who are a part of it. Educationally, future-wise, socially, and personally, there are so many benefits to the arts, and entertainment and emotion only felt through the creative fields need support if people still want to go to their concerts or listen to music in the shower or on the way to work. Not only is music a part of history, culture, math like music theory, or proven impact in scientific studies like music therapy, and so much more, music has a grand impact on the quality of life and mental health of all students and people worldwide. All to say, if there is anything we should be supporting for the betterment of education and the guarantee of future-ready students, there is no doubt in my mind that it should be music. Choir has been a massive part of my life, and it would break little me if she had that taken away, let alone seeing that taken away for other kids right now. LWSD Board, for all reasons above, I urge you to support us and make music matter in our schools. Thank you.
Thank you. No, don't. So Jack Reardall. Jack Reardall. I have not seen Jack. Okay. Holly Pulke. And behind Holly is Lars Hosserman.
Thank you. My name is Holly Pulke. I'm here representing Samantha Smith Elementary PTSA. The Samantha Smith Elementary PTSA wants to make clear that the approved 2023-2024 budget cuts will negatively impact our entire community. Currently, about 2,000 out of 14,000 elementary school students receive safety net in this district, about 15%. The NIH reports that language-based learning disabilities affect about 20% of the population. Decreasing the number of students that qualify for safety net will cause them, even more students, to fall through the cracks. The amount of time allotted for lessons has also been approved to decrease, which will inevitably affect its effectiveness. The push and model with teacher coaches is too idealistic. In practice, this will be too distracting and ineffective for the entire class. The impact of this budget cut will be felt beyond the fraction of safety net students as classroom teachers increase their workload, trickling down to less time for the general classroom students. Parents in our school are most concerned about how this will impact the general classroom environment. Students that would usually leave to receive targeted instruction will stay in the classroom receiving help during general classroom instruction. This will be distracting to the whole class as the few students get extra help. More importantly, safety net students who often have attention processing and other issues accompanying their reading difficulties will be required to learn in the most difficult skills in the classroom. Teachers will ultimately carry this burden as they juggle this new push and approach, adding to their already impossible workload. Smith PTSA strongly opposes these approved budget cuts and requests that the board take action to reverse these cuts and plan their budgets so students are the least effective. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next person is Lars Hauserman, who I believe is coming forward, and then it will be Joshua Omadahane.
Hello, I am Lars Hauserman, and I am in 10th grade at Juanita High School. I have been in choir since the 3rd grade. For the whole time that I have been in choir, I have always enjoyed it. I truly think that choir is needed within our school system, from elementary school till senior year in high school. I moved here from the great state of Indiana in the 6th grade. Upon arrival, I was saddened to learn that there was no choir to be offered at my middle school, and I had to quickly pivot to playing in band instead. Now, saying that band is an adequate substitute for choir is like comparing apples to oranges, because I had no prior experience in band before middle school. I had to purchase an instrument, which cost about $1,000. I needed to enroll in private lessons, which were approximately $3,000 a year. This initial upfront cost of $4,000 is not something that can be asked of all students and keeps people away from being able to take part in a rich, collaborative musical experience in elementary, middle, and high school. However, if choir was a program in my middle school, I would have only needed to pay exactly $0 to participate. Choir is an all-inclusive package, with time being the only currency that matters. Nearly every person on the planet can sing in a choir for completely free. This makes choir the most equitable musical art on the planet. We should not deny choral classes at any level to anyone, as this is extremely inequitable and creates a major divide within the school community of those who have and those who have not. I believe that choir should be made available to all students in our district from an earliest age as possible. As Tatiana said, at the same time as band or orchestras are provided in the elementary school level. Just like orchestra or band, our programs should be able to grow and thrive at the middle school level, just like any other arts program, and they should flourish at the high school level. We will not be silenced. Choir should be provided to everyone, no matter their status. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. So Joshua, I think I see him coming forward right now. And following Joshua will be Janny Wheelwright.
Good evening. My name is Joshua Omada'an. I'm a parent of 4 children who have been in Lake Washington School District since 2011. My oldest is about to graduate from Juanita High School. I've been a software engineer by profession for most of my adult life, but I've always been a vocalist and an instrumentalist. As an elementary school student in Puyallups Wildwood Elementary, I was able to participate in both choir and band. In fact, at the time, choir was seen as an essential part of the curriculum and was a requirement for all students. I continued to be involved in both choir and band throughout high school and college and afterwards, and a few years was a lead in a local community-produced musical. The STEM connection between music and mathematics is well established, and I won't belabor it here. But there are a few elements of musical education that may be less obvious. First, as with any endeavor, learning music takes time and commitment. Whether you're a vocalist, an instrumentalist, studying a language or math, skipping a year because a class is not offered is a serious setback. Second, musical ensembles build community. You're seeing it here. They're one of the only classes in which collaboration and cooperation are an intrinsic part of the educational experience. Third, choral singing requires less financial investment from parents and the district than instrumental music does. And finally, voice training helps with public speaking and oral communication in general. LWSD's music programs took a major hit during the COVID pandemic, especially choral music. This has taken a major toll on district choral programs. As such, I believe that it is important that the school district provide elective choral programs as early as possible that are available to all elementary and middle school students and that are supported at the high school level regardless of enrollment so as to provide an opportunity for those programs to recover. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you. So Janny Wheelwright.
Hi, I'm Janny Wheelwright. I've been a parent in the district since 2015. I have 3 children, 12, 9, and 7. And somehow, by the luck of genetics, all 3 of them have dyslexia. My husband and I don't have dyslexia, but somehow genetics just, came in and made it happen. So the budget cuts that have been approved by the district have hit me hard, and my children will be affected. Of course, my daughter, she's 12, so she's kind of moved up. She's actually at Hammond Robinson now. The district did not provide the services I felt were good for her, and I noticed that it took a toll on her mental health, and we pulled her out of school in first grade, and we put her into a school where she could really blossom. When I told her about the budget cuts and what I've been doing, writing letters and coming into this meeting, she said, "Why are they cutting it? They should put more money into this." She's like, "When I was there, I was the lowest reading level, and I was in this class with all these people that could read." Anyway, she was just so amazed that they were cutting money back instead of putting more into it, because for her, it just wasn't even enough. Moving down to my son, Jerem, he has always been a very high-strung kid, super anxious. He had really bad stomach aches from when he was 4, and we did biofeedback therapy and such. But he has dyslexia, and during the pandemic, I homeschooled them, and I used the Barton curriculum, and I quickly learned how to become a teacher to teach them this. And when I put them back in school, once things opened up and we could be in person, He was with Miss Nikki Wetzel in Safety Net, and she is just a godsend. And he went from reading 25 words per minute to 100 words per minute in that second grade year. And that kindergarten through second grade is really that happy place where you make the most bang for your buck as far as intervention goes. But based on what the budget cuts are going to do, we're going to suddenly lose out on intervention after second grade for a lot of kids. I don't even know if they're going to be providing for those third graders. But I can say because of the jumps and bounds he made in that second grade year, he wasn't really qualifying for it. Ms. Wetzel told me, he's really on the fence. He was reading 125 words at the beginning of that third grade year. But third grade, there's a huge jump. You suddenly go from learning to read to reading to learn. And that was not in the cards for my son. He couldn't spell still. Everything was misspelled, written all phonetically. And anyway, she had the discretion because she had the budget funds to be able to say my son needed it. And I can say that it has helped him both academically, but more importantly for me, I want my kids to feel good about school. And he feels good about it, and his anxiety has gone down this year, and he's spelling really well. And I know it's because of Safety Net. I have gone through all of this training to learn how to teach my kids how to read, doing Orton Gillingham training, all of this stuff. And I have a lot of time to do that. But I couldn't have been able to do it without Safety Net this year. She's really done an amazing job getting him to read, and more importantly, the emotional, mental health component has been something that's going to help him for years to come. So please work with the district to make that budget nice and full and enough for our children. Thanks.
Thank you. So with that, we have actually reached our 30-minute limit for this evening. We do have more signed up. As I had said, you are more than welcome to email us. You can send it to boardmembers@lwsd.org, and we can read it if you have it written. I'll just run through quickly in topics that we're going to be talking on. There were additional things around choir, as well as around the health room hours and the budget cuts being proposed at this point in there, and another on Quest Science. We did have 2 virtuals in regards to the SRO program and what's currently happening with that in regards to that situation, as well as the Sammamish River Valley schools. From the written comments, the majority were the SRO program, as well as one on student suicide prevention and really targeting that piece, as well as 2 on sustainability efforts within the district, and then another additional one on choir. I am sorry we're not able to get to all of those this evening, but please know you are more than welcome to email those. We do read all of those as well, and do appreciate you all taking the time to come in. We will take a 10-minute break at this point, so you are welcome to get up and leave if you would like. You are also welcome to stay. I have one final thing I'd like to say, though. Just so you know, on our annual work plan for the board, we do have planned a study session specific to performing arts and the visual arts in regards to saying what's happening K-12, what are the goals, and where are we going with that. So I think all your comments this evening about choir help to feed in, will help to do that. And please know that you're welcome to attend. That will be June 20th. It is a Tuesday. It's a little off. Juneteenth is the 19th. At 5 p.m. because it is our study session. So it actually does go for 2 hours, and it's specific to that topic alone. So I just wanted to let you know that. As for the budget items, those are still under discussion and work through as we go through. There will be a budget hearing. Budget hearing doesn't happen until August. However, there will be presentations on the budget coming up in May, as well as a study session on that as well. So those are just all things to be aware of as you go through. So thank you very much, and we will break then till 7:55. Thank you. Here's my time. All right, we are back. Thank you. So our next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. And I'm looking for the approval of the April 24, 2023 consent agenda, and we'll entertain a motion to approve.
Move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
It has been moved by Director La Liberty and seconded by Director Stewart to approve the consent agenda. Dr. Holman, will you please poll the board?
Director La Liberty?
Yes.
Director Stewart?
Yes.
Director Carlson?
Yes.
Vice President Choi?
Yes.
And President Bleasner?
Yes. And Dr. Holman, could you please summarize the donations?
I'd be happy to. So tonight on the board's agenda, you have over $25,000 of donations being accepted, $20,000 from PTSA and $5,000 from other sources to help our schools offer programs and services to students that they otherwise would not have available to them. So thank you to those that offer donation to our schools and our district.
All right, thank you. So now we will begin with our non-consent agenda, and this evening we have the Technology Services Program update, and it appears we have a lot of individuals here to help present, so thank you for being here, and I will hand this off to Dr. Holman to do the introductions.
Thank you. So I'm going to invite Executive Director Forrest Baker up to the microphone. As he does that, I do just want to offer my appreciation for this team. In board docs, there's actually an org chart that shows the overall technology services department. And while there's many names on that list, it is a small but mighty crew when you think about what they're going to present this evening.
Presentation?
I did offer that as an option for them this evening. But under Forrest's leadership of this team, the data they're going to present tonight, the work that they're doing to provide access that is safe, that is innovative, that is creative, is really impressive. And so we have a whole team here tonight to participate in the presentation. And so, Forrest, I will hand it over to you to start us off.
Thank you, Dr. Holman. And actually, Deputy Superintendent Scott Beebe is going to kick us off with setting us up.
Yeah, I don't know that I needed to now, but the tech team does a lot of work that's never noticed until something goes wrong. And so we felt that it was important that you get to see some of those folks and hear about the work that they're doing. I'm incredibly proud of this team and the work that they do really in reorienting service around our instructional program. Certainly our operational needs, but they're doing some innovative work in the ed tech sector to try to really understand the needs of our district, from our littlest users all the way up to Evan. I don't want to say you're our biggest user, but that's the other end of the spectrum. And they're going to share some of that work with you tonight. So I just wanted to introduce Forrest as one of those unicorns that has the ability to lead the tech operations, the IT side of the house, but also engage with the instructional side of the house. And those are rare in the tech world. So we're really fortunate to have someone like Forrest on our team that really can deftly move between those two arenas, and he'll share that with you tonight. So I'll turn it over to Forrest, and I'll go sit down.
Thank you, Scott. And I don't think I've ever been called a unicorn, so I appreciate that. So good evening, members of the board. My name is Forrest Baker. I'm the Executive Director of Technology Services, and I do want to thank you for this opportunity and for your time. So Technology Services has always been about just that, providing and delivering outstanding service. But in the last year or so, we've taken a shift in our thinking and service philosophy where we are intentionally focused on being responsive and connected to the classroom and instructional needs, where we are constantly looking to better understand our staff and student experience, and then leveraging that feedback and understanding to inform our decisions and make changes based on improving the education experience and academic achievement. With that said, this evening, my fantastic tech team and I would like to highlight some of the district-wide projects and initiatives that are currently underway. This includes good work in areas like network infrastructure and security, classroom equipment, and other operations that often happens behind the scenes, as well as research projects and digital tools that are very upfront, prominent, and used by students every day, with the recognition that all of these projects are instrumental to supporting our district goals and have a significant impact on the overall staff and student success. So we'll get started with our research and information gathering efforts. And Lee, if you would like to walk us through that work.
right, good evening. My name is Lee Hammers. I'm a technology integration specialist. I work under Forrest Baker here. I just want to stress one of the last things Forrest said in his introduction there was the word collaboration. And part of this research and information gathering effort was done in collaboration with several departments within technology services, specifically deployment and acquisitions led by Thomas Allen, tech integration led by Forrest Baker, and customer support led by Debbie Lee. And the reason why that's incredibly important is because those teams come to observe the data using different lenses. So our team uses more of an instructional lens, and obviously the other teams come, look at the data with more of a technical lens. And those two kind of lenses see different things and they ask different questions. So it was really important that whenever we go and collect data, that both teams are present so we can get kind of all of those different perspectives. This all started actually as a project in deployment and acquisitions in Thomas's department, where he actually was asking for recommendations from departments within the resource center, whether it be special education or teaching and learning, to figure out what teachers they should go and observe in the classroom to see kind of what challenges and successes they're having with the classroom footprint. And the classroom footprint is basically just our term for classroom technology, anything that happens to be in there. This eventually morphed into a larger project as tech integration came on board. We started doing learning walks in several of the schools where we kind of pop in and out of different classrooms, getting a snapshot of basically how teachers were using the technology or what technology they weren't using, as well as students, having brief interactions with teachers and students about the actual tech that they're using every day. This was followed up then by our annual technology integration survey that we send out to teachers each year. We collected a ton of data from that as well, and at the end, we asked teachers whether or not they want to kind of be followed up with on various topics, and all they had to do is check a little box. Well, we actually did those things and followed up with those teachers. So for example, with the classroom footprint, we actually reached out to those teachers to try and schedule visits either before or after school, during their lunchtime, during the prep time, thinking teachers are just not going to take us up on that offer. We were very much wrong. There was 1 week we did almost 40 visits combined between all the teams. And we collected a lot of data from that as well. We also did some listening sessions for teachers that were unable to kind of, that check that box but weren't able to schedule a time with us. We scheduled them all over throughout the week so they could just drop in and share their feedback that way. And then all of this was tied back with Debbie's team with that follow-up support. So in conversations with teachers and in our classroom visits, basically kind of realizing, well, that's not quite working the way it's supposed to, or that's not working as intended, following up with help desk tickets and communicating with customer support to make sure that everyone's on the same page and communicating the same message. All of that data that we collected from all of those different sources all went into some shared databases, and we're still continuing to add to it. Thomas's team has a SharePoint list where they've basically taken notes on every single interaction with the teacher they've had. Our team has a OneNote notebook where we've organized things by categories and created some meta summaries, but all of which are in shared places that everyone in tech services can access. Oops, flip my paper over like there's something on the back. This is just, again, scratching the surface, but I just wanted to share some very high-level summaries with you from our data and from collaboration between departments, because basically we took it, we coded it, we summarized the summaries, and we came up with some meta summaries, and then before this presentation, I think I summarized the meta summaries. For digital citizenship, for example, teachers really wanted to learn more about it. And they wanted time and resources to kind of learn more about how they can implement it organically into their lessons. They also wanted a scope and sequence, so they kind of knew where these students were what they learned before they got to them about digital citizenship, and then where they're going to take that info next. And secondary teachers really wanted some content-specific lessons that fit naturally into their content area. Learning management systems. There is a lot of data that we collected around that. Mary Ellen's going to share more of that later. But it was interesting that both elementary and secondary teachers, they basically rated accessibility and inclusion and family access to resources and their students' activity as the highest, the most important thing that an LMS should do for us. In terms of the classroom footprint, again, this was in conjunction with Thomas's team, learned that teachers really don't have a lot of flexibility with their classroom space. So currently right now, there's a lot of cables, and some of them can only be so many feet long. They really can't adjust their physical space to kind of customize it for their learners. And again, super high level, they just want technology and digital tools that are going to work consistently and reliably, just to kind of summarize it briefly there. In terms of K-5 devices, those teachers resoundingly were like durability was at the top of their list, as well as long battery life and touchscreens. So that's just an example of some of the summaries that we've kind of come up with from our data. And you're going to hear more details about it in a little bit. Now, we collected the data, we put the data into databases, we coded it, we summarized it again, and we summarized it again. It was time to actually communicate that data. So we've communicated that obviously within our department. We've also been in the process of communicating it to other departments like professional learning and teaching and learning if that data pertained to them. Like it's useful for us, but obviously it's more useful for them. But it was also important that we communicate that information back to the teachers and to be transparent about it. Because sometimes teachers feel like their data goes into the void and it's like, did they listen to my feedback? Did they write it down? Did they read it? Well, we read it, and obviously I just walked you through the whole process of summarizing the summaries. We gave those summaries back to the teachers, explaining to them like, hey, this is what you all said, we heard you, and this is literally the district initiative or project that it's connected to or will be connected to, so that they have some, like, they can see that their time that they spent with those classroom visits, with those survey results, was not in vain. And in addition to that, just some action steps here. That we've learned from all the data. So some changes to instructional support. Our team is currently working on evolving the building technology leadership, or it's called the TIF program, at the buildings to kind of better align with the work we're doing right now. We've created a list of pretty much ready to go but personalizable technology trainings that those TIF, those building tech leaders, can request, and then we can go out to the buildings to either lead them or support them. We're in the process of creating more e-learnings on the classroom footprint, and we're also in the process of creating some additional collaborative professional learnings that will help teachers improve their teaching with the tools we currently have, so not adding more stuff sort of into the mix. It was very clear that we needed a digital citizenship and learning management, or LMS advisory, to get more details and more resources, and to also potentially pilot an LMS, hopefully in the future. And the data also showed that there was a desperate need to update our classroom audio project. So, and on that note, I'm going to turn that over to Thomas.
Thank you, Lee. I just also wanted to start off by saying the partnership between technology and technology integration and meeting the needs of teachers is the strongest it's been since I've ever been here, and it's because of the people sitting over here, so thank you. So my name is Thomas Allen. My role here is Technology Acquisition and Deployment Manager for the district. I want to start by clearly defining classroom audio amplification because it may not be obvious to everyone listening. So these are systems that integrate with other classroom technology that's at the front of the classroom teaching space, and they allow for the participants all throughout the room to really clearly hear the classroom instruction. So for example, a teacher can lapel mic. They have a mic they can hand to a student. If you have a student presenting from their student laptop, they can easily hear the audio coming from that depending upon how they're connecting. The teacher audio can be heard presenting from their Surface Book. So it's about everyone in the classroom all being able to really effectively hear the instruction and be able to express themselves really clearly in the classroom. This is not a new topic for Lake Washington School District. We have long since held an adoption at our core of our classroom footprint that audio amplification is an important philosophy. This harkens back to well-established research on the importance of students being able to hear the instruction without impairment. And while that's an intuitive statement, the degree to which that is extremely important is not necessarily as intuitive as it is. So this started back with the Department of Education's research in 1977 that laid initial awareness, but that has been repeatedly built upon by successive research studies. So audio amplification is a topic that's very important to overall educational effectiveness in our district. But it's also an issue of equity. So these systems provide Tier 1 supports by default in our classrooms for hearing impairment, ADHD accommodations, speech and language impairment, and other scenarios. So having these in our default classroom is critical. So to follow on the prior speaker's theme of driving this year's technology priorities based on listening and gathering feedback, this topic is in the same mold. So classroom visits throughout the year that were just referenced, they've repeatedly voiced feedback that our classroom audio systems need more funding and focus. Survey data gathered by our technology integration team that was just referenced mimicked that same feedback. And we also set up cross-functional meetings with a variety of department resources and other teams, and we hear the same thing as well, that this is an area of opportunity for our district. Am I on the wrong slide? Apologies. Yeah, thank you. So faced with the consensus that there's a need for action, our team met and planned a path for reallocating funding priorities, but I do want to be clear, it's within the existing funding categories. So specifically, these shifts are all within existing spending related to replacement cycles for technology at the front of the classroom. So this is about shifting what technology at the front of the classroom is implemented this year based on feedback from our users. It's not about pulling funding from other areas. And I think that's an important thing in a time of budget cuts. So those decisions have enabled Lake Washington School District to initiate earlier replacement cycles on these classroom audio systems. And at this time, all high schools were upgraded last year. All middle schools are being upgraded between April and August of this year and will be ready for the next start of school. So then our next goal is how do we reprioritize cap levy funding in the coming cycles to make this same improvement realized for elementary schools as well. So that's to be determined. So thank you for allowing me to to take a moment to update you all on classroom audio enhancement systems and their value to the district.
Hi, I'm Mary Ellen Olafson. I'm a technology integration specialist. And I wanted to share a little bit of context about this topic, just make sure we have some shared background. A learning management system is an online platform that allows teachers to deliver instructional materials, information, resources, tools, and activities that their students can access within or outside of the classroom environment. And LMS can really be a digital window into the classroom learning, which families can access. It could be a website with just class-specific information like syllabus and a calendar of assignments and assessments. It can also become an interactive space for students to collaborate and communicate with peers and their teacher. And since we entered the pandemic, Microsoft Teams has been utilized as our learning management system. Classroom teams met our really great need for video conferencing during remote learning, and it continues to support student learning for many students right now. But we recognize that it is not a robust learning management system. So we have a great opportunity to review our priorities and to really understand the current instructional need so that we can be responsive to that need in any future learning management system adoption. So the data that Lee shared we've been collecting has really helped us to pinpoint some of those current instructional needs that an LMS may be able to support. And I think a key instructional benefit is really reducing the extraneous cognitive load and increasing the efficiency of workflow for teachers and students. Within a learning management system, that can be accomplished through really predictable routines and a standard way of navigating. Also integrating our existing digital tools within one platform. So really great benefits to that. When educational systems consistently use learning management systems, it means supportive adults from across a student's day, from families to counselors and advisors and special ed teachers, can all support that student in managing their schoolwork. And perhaps the greatest instructional benefit is really about reducing the barriers to access. So learning is not bound by time or place any longer. Through the learning management system, there's accessibility afforded by the integrated features. and our students then can more independently enhance or extend the experiences they have with hands-on learning in the classroom. So bringing that learning beyond just their class time. I think it's also important that to note that a learning management system provides a safe opportunity for our students to practice digital citizenship skills. So digital communication and collaboration, and even their own personal organization, practicing those age-appropriate skills over the years really prepares them to transition to the digital platforms they'll experience in higher education and in workplaces. So we're in the stages of planning the Learning Management System Advisory, which we are very excited about. And this is where we're going to gather diverse teacher, student, and family input on learning management system recommendations. And we'll have a year-long process that really helps us to prioritize which platforms are going to best meet our instructional needs. Also identify some of the acceptable compromises that might need to be made to meet budgetary constraints. And also to define what would be the transition and time and training for success in any future event of a future adoption of a new learning management system. So we did ask in our technology integration survey, like Lee mentioned, a specific learning management system question where teachers were asked to rank the importance of different instructional features. And I think it's not too surprising that our accessibility and inclusion features were the highest priority for both elementary and secondary teachers. That's things like having the text read out loud to you, being able to translate into multiple languages, and compatibility with assistive technology tools like screen readers, those things. So we know that that's most important, but a lot of the other features were also highly rated. And I think within this data, we can also see where there's differences in priority between teachers of elementary and secondary learners. So our advisory teachers are really going to be focused on the usability and age appropriateness of the learning management system that they're evaluating, and especially for our youngest learners. So we're really looking to make recommendations based on what's best for students at each level. And we're very much looking forward to the advisory making recommendations in early 2024, and they'll really highlight which platforms can support the success and well-being of all students. So thank you so much for that time. I'll pass it on to Matt.
Hello. I'm kind of excited to be here because my name is Matt Palmer, and whenever I get to say my name, I'm excited. I'm sorry. No, my title is Digital Voice and Applications Manager in the Technology Department. So I get to oversee the Fun Phone system and all the applications. And seriously, though, why the applications are kind of fun is because we get to optimize. We want to make everyone's experience the best for using all these online tools. And so one of the things I'm talking about today is ClassLink, which is a great investment because it allows students to quickly access all the resources that they need for their, the learning. And so, like to give you an example, up there, 4.7 million applications have been launched already this year. We do have a lot of students. We're our second largest school district in the state, but that's still quite a bit. There's an innovative technology piece that increases access. It's called Quick Cards. I'll show it to you in just a second. And that is helping our littlest learners or anyone who is struggling with the keyboard input. They can flash a code to log into the computer, also log into the dashboard. What all this is doing is decreasing the amount of time it is to access these resources. So we're increasing that learning time, which is huge, because time is one of those things that we just never have enough of. The other thing, too, about this platform is it's helping us roster. So even if we choose a learning management system or whatever, this system will still be integrated because it's allowing us to quickly talk to our student information system, grab that data, and assign the curricula to the students based on enrollment. And it's a cloud-based solution. It allows us to have a little bit less technical staff overseeing, so it's a great investment for that. And as a result of all that, we get data that we can say what applications are being used, by what schools, what's the duration, and so then we can have those conversations about why is that data showing the way it is? Is this something that we should continue to invest in or move a different direction? So I know that you have a lot going on today, so I'll be quick. I wanted to show you the quick card solution. So on the left would be like a badge or a quick card. And then on the right is what the computer screen, we actually harness the camera and they scan it and it securely logs the students in. So here we have that secure identity. We can regenerate quick cards as needed, but again, removing barriers to have students quickly access their materials. Amy, I'd love you to come up and talk some more about navigating.
I'm so disappointed that nobody took out their phone to scan that QR code because there is an Easter egg in it for you. I'll leave it up for 2 more seconds. 1, 2. All right. Hello, my name is Amy Holliday, and I am the Digital Application and Instructional Alignment Specialist on the Technology Integration team, here to share with you a little bit about our district's current and future work with digital citizenship. The Lake Washington School District adopted the Common Sense Education Digital Citizenship Curriculum and Resources in 2014, and then they were updated in 2019 to incorporate grade-specific content relating to 6 main topics that you'll see in the very small and difficult-to-read text above the larger text in each of those sections. So they are media balance and well-being, privacy and security, digital footprint and identity, relationships and communication, cyberbullying, digital drama and hate speech, and news and media literacy. Teachers of students in grades K-12 have been using these resources to support students in their development of digital citizenship skills since adoption. This year, our focus has been, as you have heard from Lee, on information gathering, particularly through our technology integration survey and classroom visits, to determine the current use of these resources in classrooms, what students are currently indicating they need regarding these digital citizenship topics, and what gaps might be present between the two, what students need and what they're getting. One student need that was made clear was available resources to support students in responding to cyberbullying. A collection of resources was assembled and shared with all 6 through 12 students directly on their ClassLink Launchpad, which you heard Matt talk about. This resource collection, titled Stand Up to Cyberbullying, has been accessed by students over 4,000 times so far this school year. Additionally, the results of our survey and these classroom visits indicated that while the resources are available, many educators have difficulty building these lessons into their plans, particularly at the secondary level, where teachers are focusing on one specific content area that may or may not be directly related to digital citizenship and media literacy. Thus far, we are not seeing these resources being taught with fidelity at every grade level across the district. Roughly 1/3 of teachers surveyed are actually using the content from Common Sense Education with their students. With these results in mind, and a positive spin, our team has developed a proposal to convene a digital citizenship advisory for the upcoming school year with the following goals. Goal 1 is to integrate digital citizenship and media literacy standards with core content, which, lo and behold, was the highest requested thing from our teachers relating to digital citizenship. Make it related to math. Make it related to reading. And so we're going to align it with core content through all grade levels and subject areas, ensuring students receive consistent and regular digital citizenship education from kindergarten through 12th grade. And goal 2 is to develop a repository of teacher resources for use in the classroom starting with the 24-25 school year. We look forward to updating the board on our progress with this advisory in the coming school year. And next up, we have Randall Wood to talk about cybersecurity. Oh, that got different.
Cleanup. Cybersecurity. I'm Randall Wood. I'm the Technical Operations Manager for the district. Fun fact, I am a product of the district. I went to Emily Dickinson Elementary back in the late 70s and early 80s. That being said, cybersecurity is a constant and continuous activity of improvement. We have a defense in-depth posture here at the district that we developed over, the last decade and several years. At the core of this is our Palo Alto Networks firewall. And that firewall inspects data and keeps the bad actors from intrusion into the network. It's a next-generation firewall also because it does deep packet inspection. So it looks at all the data bits coming across and says, hey, do any of those have anything negative that we don't want to allow into the district? And allows us to do application blocking or shaping as needed. Next, we've deployed the Advanced Threat Protector. That's from Microsoft. It gives us the ability to scan and alert on malicious or unauthorized account behaviors. It also can be programmed to take action, which it does faster than any human could. So it's a definitely important layer of our defense position. Windows Defender comes next. That scans the files and looks for malware. That's our antivirus protector on the endpoints. And that works along with AppLocker. Now, AppLocker sits on the endpoints as well. What that does is it locks down and makes sure that it makes so that other unauthorized applications can't be launched or run. This really gives us another layer of protection against malware and also protects our endpoints from compromise from hackers if they get in there. It's really hard for them if they can't run their own little programs and scripts. The most recent addition this past year has been multi-factor authentication. That is, of course, the ability to connect to your account using two different authentication points. This is a significant deterrent against an individual getting their account compromised. We've also separated our on-premise and Azure tenants, the Azure cloud, to allow us to have our administration accounts have a layer of barrier so that if one of our administrator accounts get compromised on-prem, they would not get compromised in the cloud. Next, and what's coming next, like I said, this is a continuous improvement process where our eyes are focused now on BitLocker. What BitLocker does is it does the encryption of hard drives. And so if, for heaven forbid, one of our staff or someone lost a hard drive and someone got a hold of it, they couldn't get into the data and made it much more difficult for them to compromise that. Or if someone happened to intrude and get into someone's hard drive, it makes it harder for them to do malicious actions. And lastly, of course, I know ransomware is on everyone's mind, and so we have been thinking about that here way back in the data center closet. And what we've come up with here is a way to harden our backups. And so what we've done is we've moved our backup system and our backups into a completely different tenant or part of the cloud that's separate from where the rest of our district production activity happens. And moreover, we then are making it so that those have separate accounts, and then we're taking the further step of requiring access to that to have two different people. So what that means is one person, say, has the login, another person has the multi-factor authentication, or in other instances, one person has half of a very long password, the other person has the other half of a very long password. And in doing so, we're really minimizing the vector of attack that a bad actor could do because it makes it really hard for them. If they compromised our most advanced network administrator back there, they couldn't get into our backups without the help of a second person. And so having those backups in our back pocket is our final and best defense against ransomware. And now, while no computer system is 100% safe, our district is in a strong security position. There's a saying in the industry, the cyber defense team has to be correct every time. The bad guys only need to be correct once. So this is a continuous pressure that requires us to stay modern, educated, and diligent. Thank you for that. Forrest is now going to talk a little bit more about security.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you, Randall. As Randall touched on, there are ever-changing and increasing cybersecurity threats within the public education sector. And while our technology staff are amazing, very capable, and wear many hats, we do need to have a security expert as part of the team that can focus on proactive measures. So we are taking a vacant technology project manager position and filling it with a new cybersecurity professional role. This role will perform risk and threat assessments, coordinate the implementation of evolving best practices for securing our systems and data. They will plan incident response actions for things like if there were a ransomware attack. They'll manage partnerships with our state and federal cybersecurity agencies, and they'll work on with our team on security awareness, disaster recovery, and continuity of operations. So we plan to hire this spring and then onboard over the summer, and the overall goal is to take a more preventative instead of reactive approach with our district security. All right, Debbie?
Hi, I'm Debbie Lee. I'm the Technology Support Manager for the district. And we provide support for a total fleet of 45,496 computers used by our staff and students. And because of changes in technology and improvements in our automation processes, we're introducing a new model for our one-to-one support for our 16,380 middle and high school students. Starting this summer, middle and high school students will now have year-round access and use of their school district-assigned laptops. This decision was made after careful consideration of equitable access to educational technology, as well as added efficiency in our system updates and processes related to end-of-year laptop collection during roll-in. What this means is all incoming 6th and 9th graders will get brand new laptops to use and take care of throughout their middle and high school careers, and current 6th, 7th, 9th, 10th, and 11th graders will keep laptops to use during the summer for the first time since our one-to-one adoption of computing in 2012. The 8th graders and the 12th graders will turn in their laptops, and we repurpose those for other uses at elementary school and for our loaners. For 8th grade students who may need access to a laptop during summer, we have a process where they can request one, and we'll provide a loaner for them. The benefits of this change is equitable year-round student access to technology resources and improved efficiency in use of district staffing and resources. Thank you.
It's me again. I'm going to talk a little bit about wireless infrastructure, but I'm going to start talking about the Lake Washington School District's network. The Lake Washington School District's computer network is the backbone of daily operations and activity. It's the wide area network is comprised of roughly 70 miles of fiber optic cable that connect all of our buildings back to the data center here. We own all of that fiber. 4 routers connect us to the internet through 2 service providers for redundancy, giving us about 30 gigabits of available capacity. All that's connected to 1,172 switches. That's what connects the devices that connect all the wires that go to the routers or to the walls and to the other devices that plug into the network. That network, daily activity, we have around 34,000 plus devices that connect. We get 2 gigabits of steady internet traffic every school day. That's steady traffic. And that will spike up to 5 gigabits and maybe as high as at points as 7 gigabits during the day. And I give perspective there, 1 gigabit of data every second is about 1,000 videos streaming, running, about 12,500 voice calls being given, or about 50 web pages rendering every second. So 2 gigabytes, you can double that, 5 gigabytes times 5 and then times 7. We do 40 million internet domain name translations in a day. That's translating URLs from words to the numbers that computers talk about. And then 40,000 Teams messages are sent, and about 200,000 emails are processed, and this is daily. Wireless. The primary access to the network is made through the wireless connections. We've heard the call from our users, And they're wanting a more reliable and robust experience. And so, Levy project to upgrade the wireless network. The goals for this project include an invisible dependability, which we spoke about. We want our network to run invisibly, so it's just there and it always works, like a utility. Improved data transmission capacity, and of course, expanded coverage areas. So Cisco Meraki was chosen in the process. It's a cloud-based management system, but it was chosen for that, and then overall performance from multiple different educational entities that are already using that system. Phase one of this project is a multi-year replacement of what we already have from the older system. So it's a one-to-one replacement. So that's 2,585 wireless access points throughout the district that we're swapping out with the new system. Then we're going to go back through and we're going to do what's called a site survey, where they get out there with the devices and the wires and they detect how the system is running in all areas of the school. They literally walk in and out of every room and every building. And then they're going to get feedback also from the staff that live there every day. Say, hey, what's the situation like there in your building? What areas are you having trouble with? We're going to take all that information back, and then we're going to go into phase two of the project, which is to remediate that. We're going to go in and add WAPs into the different areas to rectify any situations that need rectified to get to our goals. Target completion dates this fall, coming fall, sometimes in the fall to get phase one done, so fall of 2023. And then we want to see the end of the entire project by the summer of 2024. And that is what I have to say about wireless.
Great, thank you. Well, as you've heard this evening, we have an in-depth, diverse, and broad scope of services that we support throughout the district. And I am extremely proud of the entire technology services team for their commitment to finding proactive, work smarter, robust solutions that allows this district to focus on serving our families and delivering high-quality education. It's this core foundation and philosophy that allows us to explore other areas of innovation as well, which I'd like to touch on next. AI technology. Like the new and popular ChatGPT, is already having a significant impact on education. So this technology will continue to advance and become a more available in all aspects of our everyday life. And we see our role in K-12 as educators about the growing presence and capacity of AI technology, understanding its inherent challenges and opportunities, educating ourselves and students on appropriate use, and finding ways of capitalizing on its benefits to prepare future-ready students. So because we want to be in front of this innovative technology and identify the K-12 opportunities, Technology Services has been collaborating with Teaching and Learning, Professional Learning, and outside partners on a couple of exciting projects. The first one is there's a new Teach Empowered research project with Stanford University Graduate School of Education and Lake Washington School District. So a small group of our ELA teachers will participate in using generative AI and natural language processing methods built into our classroom team software with the goal of building tools to assist teachers with writing effective feedback to students. And the project will be developed over the upcoming months and begin in fall 2023. Another effort underway is bringing in an EdTech expert on the use of ChatGPT and generative AI technology use in the classroom. And we'll focus this professional development initially on all of our TOSAs in the district programs and departments, as well as the teachers engaged in that Stanford project. And Scott, you have another example.
Yeah, as you might imagine, this is sort of the talk of the industry right now, that previous innovation has come in the hardware space, like when the iPhones were first released and then the iPads, and that innovative space has lessened. We're seeing incremental progress in that space, but where we're seeing real innovation occur is in this sort of space now. So I met with Microsoft last week about a variety of things, but one of the things we talked about was translation of documents is always a challenge for school districts, particularly because most of the translation services now do word-for-word translations, which don't always translate into actual meaningful text. Generative AI has the ability to do that a little differently because it learns from that and can incorporate context and syntax that is previously impossible. So we're talking with Microsoft. They're doing some work with Bellevue School District, and they want to add us to that project around how we could embed those services right in our Azure environment so that it's accessible to anyone at any time within our district. So that's kind of an exciting, innovative use of technology that was not possible in the ed tech space even a couple of months ago. AI's been around forever, but not to us, not in the public sphere like it is now. So I'm pretty excited about that opportunity. And the Stanford thing, I'm going to divulge a little bit of my marketing conversations. I'm on the teaching and learning team, and we've had lots of conversations about if I'm a secondary language arts teacher and I assign an essay to my classes, I have 150 or 155 essays that I have to read and provide feedback. If this sort of technology can support that work differently, it doesn't mean that I still am not needed for context in particular, but there's opportunity there to improve the experience both for our teachers and our students. So we're excited about that. And some of our contemporary or peer districts are taking a different stance around this, and they're immediately blocking this sort of technology. That is not what Lake Washington is doing. We are cautiously embracing and learning as we go around how this can actually be of service to our students and to our teachers. So I think that kind of wraps it up for us, and we're happy to take some questions, but I hope you got a sense of just the scope of work that happens in this department that no one ever sees until it doesn't work. And then we get a lot of phone calls, but super proud of this team and the work that they do and the way in which they do it. So Forrest and I got an email, or I think you got it, John, from a student that was pretty upset that he was taking an advanced level programming class and wanted to install Python on his computer, and just he was picking a fight. He was coming to fight with us. And before I could even respond, Forrest chatted the student back and says, "Oh no, you just go to the student portal and you can install it right from there." It was a done deal already. So that is a responsive, forward-thinking tech department, not a, no, we're going to block that because there's potential for some misuse of it. But Forrest and his team had already anticipated that need, and within seconds, the student was able to continue about his work. So super proud of the team, and I just celebrate all the work that they do because it is not visible most of the time.
Thank you. I'm going to open it up to questions. It appears Director Stewart.
As the most tech-challenged member of the board, I have gremlins that follow me and have for decades. Bear with me when I'm using the wrong terms, perhaps. Well, during the pandemic, we had to go to hotspots. Does this web access points, does that take care of the geographical problems we had with people being able to pick up and receive, being able to use their units at home? Because we had a lot of kids that were basically disconnected, and that's the only way we got them connected.
The wireless access points that Randall was talking about are the ones like in this building or in classrooms and schools. It doesn't address that ongoing issue.
Also the digital citizenship part. How are the students, and I assume this is perhaps on the teacher's side, but I would assume the tech side as well, how are the students being taught to discern between fact and fiction, or I'll say, for lack of a better term, misinformation?
Yeah, but that's kind of the $100 million question, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what Amy spoke to around it's sporadically happening right now. Our librarians take some ownership of that in particular. So when they're doing lessons with kids, I know the elementaries do it more consistently because they see classes of kids more regularly. Doesn't mean our secondary aren't engaging with that work also. But that's where we had lots of conversations when I was in that department last year too about there's space in the language arts classes, there's space in the social studies classes when they're doing those research projects for those very lessons to be embedded in that work in a different way. That's what Amy and team are working on now.
The other, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry, but I've got a few questions. A number of years ago, there was a project between IT and the Special Services Department to teach students with autism in particular, a multi-step program on how to basically scrub or re-image laptops. I'm wondering, I know it got derailed several years ago, and I know the reason, because I was the target. Is that being picked back up? Because I know that the one student that it was tested with went from 12 steps to 4 steps in about 2 hours.
Yeah, that's a good question. I honestly don't know.
We've always been open to a student. Yeah, thank you for the reminder. We do not have any student participating or student programs right now that integrate with our technology services, but I know that idea has come up before, and we're certainly open to talking and exploring that.
Great. Because you might look back at the project was spearheaded by Sally and Jan Bakken.
Okay.
And it was my son that was the test guinea pig. And he, in a couple hours, it went down to 4 steps. And then, due to a problem with the principal, the 2 computers that were sent to the classroom were gathered dust for 2 years. I find that with a lot of the students in special needs, this addresses a lot of their communications problems. I have really applauded the idea of the working on the audio. Can't talk with this thing. Applying with the audio, because also with the special needs students, that this allows them to zero in on the lesson. And now that we're doing more integration into the classroom, this will be very important to them. And I think it will also address some of the problems of the pull-out services that are now being pushed in. I did have one last. It'll come to me. I'll let somebody else.
Director Carlson.
So one's more of a comment than a question. So somebody had mentioned the WAP gap analysis is second phase. Ask the kids. I promise you, they'll tell you where the gaps are in your buildings. Make your lives a lot easier. The second one is, I was looking through this presentation and trying to, does Turnitin fall under your umbrella?
That's one of the digital tools that we currently provide, yes, and that's one that we've got some interesting usage data on.
Well, it's been an interesting experience for me as the parent of high schoolers trying to debug and reverse engineer what the heck Turnitin is doing sometimes. And I'm really curious how it's reacting to ChatGPT. Is ChatGPT just going to break them, or do you have some confidence?
No,
that it'll
most
work?
of those, Turnitin's sort of the most popular one, and they've announced, I don't want to say compatibility with ChatGPT, but the ability to detect generated text. How reliable that is, I don't know yet.
I'm highly skeptical at the moment.
Yeah. There's real sporadic use of it, honestly. We've had some conversations. Now there have to be work around that, but it's pretty expensive for as few of people that are actually using it.
Anyway, so that's not a today question, but in the future, I would love to have an update on Turnitin and how Turnitin's behaving in the post-chat GPT space.
Would you mind if that was broadened to think about AI and in general?
I don't want to think about AI in general. AI in general is cool, but I could spend all day going down rabbit holes. Turnitin matters for our kids. And I've run into Turnitin rabbit holes where, you know, a kid turns in an essay and you're trying to figure out why it told him. I mean, sorry, I do actually believe my child when he tells me, Dad, I didn't plagiarize this. And this is telling him 62% plagiarized. And you finally figure it out that the 24th words were works cited, and everything after that was not counted. And in those first 24 words was a quote, and therefore it was 62% plagiarized because it was a quote of 14 words. That sort of reverse engineering, professionally, I'm a scientist. People believe that we spend our time figuring out how the world works. In reality, we spend 80% of our time figuring out what someone else did wrong. And that's been my personal experience of Turnitin, is that I've spent a lot of time trying to figure out why it's doing something which doesn't make sense. And I'm afraid that the ChatGPT function is just going to kaboom.
Yeah.
So I really would like to hear more about that in detail specifically. AI we can talk about too, but Turnitin, I'm really worried there are a lot of teachers who think they know how it works and are about to try and apply it in the context of a post-ChatGPT world. And I'm very concerned. So anyway, thank you.
Director Liberty.
Just a quick comment. This occurs to me in the context of ChatGPT, but I just want to, I guess, commend the department for having a forward-thinking and embracing new technologies. I know that's not true for every district, and you know, I'm not, as a board member, I'm not here to say what technology we should and should not embrace, but I just appreciate that it appears to me that the culture of the department is to lean into new technologies and see how we can make those work better for our students rather than throwing up our arms. So
Yep,
it's
that's
pretty
a
neat,
testament to Forest
pretty neat
leadership
to see.
of the department. So,
Great, thank you.
I just have okay, Director Choi.
I had a couple clarification questions, and I think I might have just missed this while I was taking notes. But it was regarding the learning management system. So I think I heard correctly that currently our learning management system that we're using is Microsoft Teams.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just curious, is that a product of pandemic learning and having to migrate to Teams, and then it's just a residual effect at this point, and then now we're going to look into whether or not it is?
Largely, yes. That's
Okay.
exactly, yes. The decision was made during the pandemic in part. Microsoft's been a great partner on that too, and it is very different now than it was even at the onset of the pandemic.
Right.
However, it was not envisioned originally as a learning management system. It was a team collaboration tool, and so that's where it's also come up in bargaining that there are tools that are specific for that purpose, for managing the exchange of information between student and teacher. As one example, integrating with a grade book so that you're not having to grade things in multiple places or grade them here and then enter a score over here. So that's what Amy and the TIS team is working on, is identifying what those necessary requirements will be from a teacher perspective all the way through our system.
So, couple follow-ups. Did we have a different learning management system before Teams, or is this our first experience?
John can speak to that, I think, better than I can.
We've had some fits and starts with learning management systems. We've had some that were adopted and either were no longer going to be supported, and so they phased out. We found out in the dark of night one just went away, essentially. And so we were in the process of essentially asking the question, what do we do? Pandemic. And so that was the wrong time to implement a new LMS. And so Classroom Teams turned into kind of the stopgap. And so that's why launching into a year study of what do we do, because a great LMS makes everybody's life better. And when I say everybody, I mean it's teacher, student, parent. It really is an integrated approach, and it reduces the need for kind of the back and forth communication, because so many questions are just answered. And if everybody knows how to fish, then they know what system to go to. Where do I find calendars and homework and communication, and it just streamlines things significantly. Right now, teachers are using classroom teams, but they need to pair that with other systems to be able to accomplish all of the different components that a true LMS has. So,
and then my another follow-up question. Sorry, I have a lot of questions. Is this system, would it encompass kind of all of the different applications and systems that we are currently using? So I know we launched Parent Square this year, which I love personally as a parent. Are we hoping that our website, our district website, Skyward, are we hoping that all of these things can live in a single system?
Likely no. I mean, integrate where we can, but those are different function. So
there isn't an LMS that kind of...
Probably not a good one. I mean, lots of vendors promise lots of things, but the LMS, the need for an LMS is a very specific need of the interactions that occur in a classroom between teacher and student, and then allowing parent view into that experience. That's sort of the big idea of an LMS. Parent Square is a two-way communication tool, and while there might be some chat or messaging within a class that occurs in an LMS, that's really a different purpose than like a Parent Square alert kind of tool.
Can you provide just some industry examples of LMS?
Yeah, Canvas is the one that's used. Blackboard has one. Canvas is the one that's Schoology is another one that's used pretty regularly in the region, and they all have slightly different pros. And Canvas is great. It's also pretty complex. Schoology is great. It's also really simple, and so it just kind of depends what you want to be able to do with it as to what's the better fit for districts.
And sometimes there's a K-5 based focus versus a secondary or higher ed based focus. Like Seesaw, I think, is another one that's elementary focused.
Thank you.
Keep going. Are you done?
Yes, I'm done.
Okay, then I just have a few questions. So, and a comment as well, I do. So thank you very much for the presentation, very helpful. You did mention the one-to-one for the secondary. So now my question is, we have elementary school students. I know you were warned that I was going to ask this question.
We were.
So, knowing, as we talk equity and accessibility, how do we ensure that? And also tying into Director Stewart's question around internet access. And so are we doing anything in that area as well in which to support?
You want to take it or you want me to? Go for it. I knew he was going to do that.
Coward.
So yes, we have elementary students. I will agree with that. The use case right now has been a little different at the elementary level. They're not going back and forth to home as much. That doesn't mean that they can't in the future. So we started at 612 because that's the use case there currently. Thomas and his team have been doing some work also. So right now the model has been we take the devices that are repurposed from the secondary and move them down to the elementary grades. That may or may not be the appropriate device. And so Thomas and his team have been doing a lot of work to gather data around, well, what does a kindergarten student really need to be able to do with a device, and what device best meets that need. So we're doing some of that work, and that might lead to a stronger conversation about take-home model at elementary school, but right now that hasn't been the primary use case there.
Is there a potential to at least allow for requests to keep one over the summer as an option?
Likely, yes.
Yeah, as I think about opportunities, that gives those students the same chance when they are 2 months in the summer to be able to.
We haven't discussed that yet, but that's sort of a logical first step.
Okay, I think it's fabulous, the more that we can be able to do that. So thank you for doing it. Also appreciate the focus on cybersecurity, knowing what's happening there and understand that. And all very good, but those were my questions.
Your other question was the hotspot.
Internet, yeah.
We're maintaining some of those still, yeah. There is no easy solution for that one. We've talked here, I think, last year about is there a way to provide some access via our network? That's really challenging to do because you got to build out the endpoints off of our network. I don't quite know how we would fund that to go to Leah's house, but not Evan's. You know what I mean? That would be challenging. So right now, the best solution we have are the hotspots, but that's an area of concern I think we share is how do we provide a more consistent experience for kids at home who may not have that access at home as well.
So it'd be interesting. I know there are school districts around the state who are working with cities potentially to be able to look to do that. So can we do some partnership in some way?
Yep.
So that's just another option as you try to think about how we do a more broadband component.
Yep.
Thanks. Director Stewart?
Just a couple of things. One, I'm glad to hear about the move on the translation because you may recall about 6 weeks ago there was a nasty little op-ed against one of the other school districts that was understandably frustrating for that parent, but at the same time I can see how that perhaps the technology just wasn't quite even at that point. I don't know. Maybe they weren't using the tools you're using. How soon do you think we will be at a point where, because God knows we had 150 languages in the district, something like that, and not to mention all the dialects, how soon do we think we'd be able to have that pretty much whacked?
Well, I met with her Thursday. And I'm not sure it's fully baked yet, but that's the part I'm excited about is we're right on the cusp of these kinds of things becoming possible in a way that none of us ever really thought would be. I mean, I'm a Star Trek fan and Star Wars fan, and the whole idea of being able to talk to a computer and have it actually respond in meaningful ways or carry on a conversation, we're that close to that now.
Okay.
Not just like a Siri assistant that is listening on my watch and periodically offers lots of suggestions on things that aren't really useful, but that two-way interaction is really an intriguing opportunity.
I have enough people offering me suggestions on how to act and so forth, so I don't need a watch to do it.
Yeah.
The remote learning options with the audio, the learning management systems, is it possible that these, because I recall the problem of having kids in the classroom and having them remote, that caused a logistical nightmare in teaching new teaching techniques and so forth. Would this be able to, this kind of a system, be able to allow us to have online students participate in the classroom? I'm thinking about the ones who are that were in our current school that we're having to shut down, and the ones who, especially who are medically brittle, or whatever the reason might be, that classroom is just no, can't do it. And I'm wondering if perhaps that is there a way that we can get closer to that we can help those students and perhaps keep them from having to go to WASA or wherever?
That's not the primary use case, although I really haven't done a deep dive since the pandemic on what their functionality is now. There are some tools that allow that to happen differently than we currently deploy, but that would be probably a separate use case from an LMS.
I'd really like us to look into it because I think that will really have an impact on the students that medically can't get into class, whether it's physical or emotional. And I think that would be very helpful. The AAC devices kind of was briefly touched on. Are we looking at, I think the last time I checked, or the last one we bought, only Apple was using AAC or doing the AAC, and Microsoft had kind of pushed it aside. Are we looking at ways to incorporate it more? One of the problems we encountered a few years back was the willingness of staff to learn how to use AAC devices so they could communicate with these kids. My son can communicate very well with his AAC device, but you ask him what time it is, and he's going to stare at you. So I'm just wondering how we've gone from there. Thanks.
So all of these topics about better coordinating with SPED to meet the needs of these unique scenarios, this is an area I spend a lot of effort on. So I meet regularly with the assistive technology folk in the SPED department. Have a huge amount of respect for them. It's one of the best partnerships I have in the district. So a lot of those are, you get a use case, it's unique. How do we best help that child? It may not be within the footprint of what is appropriate for every other child. And so every single one of those might be a little unique. Where possible, the ideal outcome is to make as much as possible in the first tier of support supported. Because if that child comes to the first day of class and then the teacher has to pick up on an issue a weekend, then the child's already lost a week of learning.
Yep.
And then it takes 3 weeks to get a meeting, and then they get the IEP underway, and months of learning are lost. So we try really hard to have a lot of discussions about how do we meet so many of those needs at the very first tier. But we can't do them all, and that's where those later discussions, okay, this unique kid, how do we meet that need? So.
Well, I know a few years back we were working with Rock Therapeutics. Redmond High School was, where a person basically came in and tutored the paras twice a year, which was woefully underutilized. Working with the speech therapists that are crackerjack at the AAC devices, is it possible that we could start linking in with some of those? In fact, one of the consultant that was with Rock now practices here in Redmond. And I'm just wondering if that couldn't be utilized to a great advantage for our students.
Yeah, I will be honest. I'm not 100% sure I fully understand the use case you're describing, but when it comes to meeting those types of unique needs, we want to have those meetings. And so we actually met out with the SLP, to do an observation. We talked about the observations. So one of them we did recently was with an SLP type use case.
Okay.
So yeah, if you we would welcome that type of information.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Thank you.
I'll give you your name.
Director Carlson, then Evan.
So I wanted to explicitly say thank you to this team for generally not being on my radar. Thank you for your efforts on cybersecurity. Thank you for your efforts on the WAP, on that access. Thank you for your efforts on ClassLink. All of these are huge. Thank you for what you're building in digital citizenship. Our kids have a different world they have to grow into, and somebody's got to figure out what it's going to look like. So, and finally, for those of you who work on the LMS, as the parent of a high schooler, it's not for the students. The students can figure out how to deal with 7 different teachers' websites, but the parents cannot. So this LMS thing is more important than you can imagine for the parent community. So thank you for that.
Just a note on the LMS. Obviously, I don't think it's groundbreaking for me to say I hope in the Learning Management System Advisory that you take into account student voice. But the reason I say that is just when we hit the pandemic, a lot of our teachers had to transition to new forms of communicating with students, and one of those was OneNote. And I know teachers did not love that at first, by and large. But I can tell you, having that access, because that's continued, OneNote specifically has probably boosted my grade an entire grade level in my math and science courses, because having the ability to access exactly what my teacher, because most of my teachers, like my calculus BC teacher, he does all of his lectures just directly on OneNote with pen. Having direct access to basically a written form of his lectures has completely changed the educational experience from what it was freshman and sophomore year, or at least freshman year, because then COVID. And then also, just generally, thank you. I want you to hear that from a student. The work that you guys do is incredible. Very, very rarely have I ever had an issue with the internet access. Thank you guys for unblocking a lot of YouTube. Like, seriously, you do not understand how life-changing that was for students, because 99% of any video tutorial out there for anything is on YouTube. But yeah, generally, not only has the work you guys have done not been noticed, but even a lot of the time it has been noticed, because when you guys have made changes over the past 4 years I've been here, they have all been for the positive.
Yes, can you improve my connectivity with the district, because I'm about a quarter of the time not able to connect, so I'll talk to you later.
All right. Well, with that, I want to say thank you very much. I don't think we have any more questions, but again, I think Evan summed it up well, so I don't think I need to add anything with that. So excellent work, and thank you for all you do, and look forward to your leaning into all those new things coming down the pike too. So appreciate those thoughtfulness and looking forward.
Thank you.
All right. We still have another item on, or not actually two. So our next one is results 1. So we had that presented at last meeting on April 4th. And then tonight we are, basically if there are any additional questions, you are also, if you've gone online, you have noticed that there is the summary that is written in regards to the conversation that we held last week, or 3 weeks ago, I apologize. And so what I would say is, based on that conversation, I wrote up a summary with help with Director La Liberty, doing a little more concise pulling together of some of the things. And so the summary statement is, from our take on what we'd heard, the board agrees that there has been reasonable progress made with noted exception for specific subgroups. Lake Washington still maintains high graduation rates, achieving the highest rate ever for all students in 2022, and showing improved rates for the majority of other demographic groups, specifically for Black African American students and low-income students. At the same time, there continue to be significant difference between student subgroups, specifically Hispanic Latino students, low-income, and special education students. That was sort of the overall broad take that came from there. And then the directions and components that are listed in there, you can see those. I'm not going to read all of them because they are lengthy. But they do provide the idea of working around addressing and mitigating the impacts of COVID-19 to support our students and continue to do so. Working to close the gaps between those pieces in terms of on-time graduation. Noticing that Hispanic Latinos showed declining trends where previously there was improvement, so consider additional efforts in which to support those students going forward. There are a few others on there as well. So what I would like to do is first ask Dr. Holman if he had anything to add from the presentation last week.
Not at this time.
Okay, so about that. And then from there, that's the summary and the presentation. We actually have two things to do. It's to approve the monitoring report as well as to approve the summary. If we can do both tonight, that's great. I'm happy to do them one at a time or do them both together. But I will entertain a motion to approve.
I move approval of the monitoring report with reasonable progress with the noted exceptions. And I also move simultaneously to approve the board summary as drafted.
Second.
So it has been moved by Director La Liberty and seconded by Director Choi to approve both the monitoring report and the summary as presented. I will then now open it to discussion.
I have a comment.
Comment is fine too.
And I'm stealing material from Director Belizner for this comment. It's more on our monitoring than on this specific. I think Director Belizner, you had raised the idea for me before. Maybe we should have our first review of results monitoring at a study session, and then brought back at the board meeting. I think that's a good idea. I think it'd be a little better process, and the study session would provide a better forum for more robust discussion of the results, and also having a 2-hour block set aside for it, or an hour and a half, whatever it may be, I think is the right amount of attention to have on these monitoring reports. So, no specific comment on the report itself, just that idea.
Director Carlson.
So I agree on the monitoring report. On the summary statement, I thank you for this. The direction is great. I feel like there's one piece of success that could go in the first blurb that isn't necessarily captured, which is that the long-term trends and on-time graduation rates are slow but very real trend in the right direction. And that's commendable for the district. It's not something that's a one-year pop. It's a 10-year change, but it's a big deal. So I believe that just needs to be called out explicitly in the preamble.
Would you entertain a motion to amend the summary?
Well, absolutely.
Okay. I move to amend the summary to include the statement Director Carlson just made.
Should I quickly draft it and
You'll have to second it.
I think
I'll second
Siri
that.
was typing as you were
Siri's
talking.
good.
so that's
Okay,
why.
good. Then great. I believe it may have been captured, so okay, I will second that.
All right, so is there any discussion in regards to that amendment of the summary?
No, thank you, Director Carl. Well, yes, I guess. Thank you, Director Carlson, for flagging that. I do think that's something we had discussed last time as well.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, I want to take a vote on amending the summary report to add in that the long-term trends for the four-year graduation rate have been improving
And are commendable.
demonstratively.
Yes, good. I like that.
Okay, all those in favor, please signify by voting aye.
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 Anyone opposed? All right, so then we now have the amended summary report along with the monitoring report. Any further discussion of comments or questions on that?
You captured all of the relevant pieces. I mean, it's complicated stuff, but I do think that the direction provided here is clear enough and actionable enough that I'm quite happy with it.
Okay, hearing no other discussion, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of approving the amended summary report as well as the monitoring report, please signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. All right. That was quick. And then we will add the concept of, as we do the annual work plan, I think there was probably agreement around the fact of doing the first read at a study session to have the opportunity around results to be able to spend a little more time, like an hour and a half as we go through that. Is that an agreement? I'm looking for head nods.
Is that for all monitoring reports or just results?
Ideally, I believe it would only be for results 1, 2, and 3 would be the goal. Yes. And part of that is the results really are the focus, and so the idea of being able to focus additional time within that area. Okay, so our next item on the board is OGP 5, Operational Governance Procedures. It's our board organization. And so Dr. Holman.
So Operational Governance Policy 5 talks about board organization. And one of the things that the board changed 2 or 3 years ago was typically you would do board reorganization in January following elections and things like that. And this board decided that it made more sense to do that at the conclusion of the school year in preparation for the next year, meaning that president, vice president, ledge rep would change in June as opposed to January. And so we updated the policy and were specific about the second meeting in June. And we all know what June is like, and that has led to a couple of challenges over time. And so the policy proposed tonight just has a very simple update of modifying the policy to simply state that board organization will take place in a meeting in June, and removing that second meeting in June requirement. And so here in your packet you have a situation, which I just described, and then a recommendation. The board's policies actually don't require a first and second reading. It's a best practice when you're making substantive change to policy, so in case you wanted to get public comment and things like that. But if the board deems this to be non-substantive, you could actually make a motion to adopt the policy this evening. And with that, I'll hand it to you, President Bleasner.
Okay, any questions for Dr. Holman? Okay, then with that, I will entertain a motion to approve OGP 5 for board organization.
Move approval as amended.
Second.
Been moved by Director Carlson, seconded by Director Choi to approve the revisions to Operational Governance Policy 5, Board Organization. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I appreciate that being best practice here. I view this as non-substantive. This is just a clerical change to make things a little bit easier for us.
We've already spent more minutes on it than words are being changed, so I'm happy to close discussion.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor, please signify by voting aye.
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 All those opposed? All right, hearing none, motion carries. We now have the revisions to OGP 5 completed. Our next item on the agenda is our superintendent report. So Dr. Holman, I'm going to pass it to you.
Okay, so for my superintendent's report tonight, I did want to provide the board with a few different district highlights and updates. This picture has nothing to do with my superintendent's report. It just was an interesting picture. I also have, I brought back some slides from the budget presentation I gave a couple weeks ago, just to remind us and just to recognize we actually had individuals come tonight to provide public comment around some of the changes. And I just want to recognize those are real experiences. We are having reductions in some of our staffing levels, hours for some of our employees, and those are real changes for our staff. And so I just wanted to, go back to some of those just to remind us of what they are as we continue to move forward. Couple of updates. Something, again, that we don't really see, things are occurring. OSPI came in and did a procurement review of our child nutrition services. They came in and spoke highly of our team. It was conducted in January 2023. There's two pieces. One, they actually did say, your policy is out of date. You need to update that. So Chris Brennigan and his team moved quickly and updated that policy so that it was in alignment with federal regulations. And then the commendation they gave to the team was that our team met all regulatory criteria for procurement of goods and services within the food services program. And so I just appreciate, something that is just going on an ongoing basis of procurement of food and resources for our program, that it's just being done correctly. And I just appreciate our team for doing that, and thank Chris and his team for updating the policy so that we can be completely in alignment with those expectations. Want to give an update. I'm getting out to our schools specifically on a monthly basis to our communications team has called it Celebrating Our Schools with Dr. Holman. And so this last month I went out to Juanita High School and was in their culinary arts program. It's actually a pretty cool video that John Knorr put together about my experience there. And the teacher, she actually is a trained French teacher. She has a background as I believe, a French pastry chef. So this job came open, and she thought, that looks really cool. And so she's been at Juanita, I think she said, for 3 years doing the CTE Culinary Arts program. I think she has both Culinary Arts 1 and 2. As I was talking to her, she said she has this vision of someday teaching French through the culinary arts. And it was kind of just an innovative idea, but just had a lot of fun in that class. It was first period, and for any of our high school teachers out there, you know that first period typically is the quietest period of the day, and so I got to pry some information out of students as I was talking with them. But it was a great experience. Actually, I tasted the food that we cooked, and it was pretty remarkable. So just want to thank the team at Juanita for inviting me in and allowing me to spend that time. It's a beautiful, beautiful kitchen. Juanita High School, the new Juanita High School, and to see what a state-of-the-art facility looks like for our students to learn in is really remarkable. Thinking about our calendar, so many different pieces going on over the next few weeks. We highlighted a few of those recognitions as we think about our recognition of our teachers in the coming weeks. You think about, we have over 2,000 educators that would be celebrated during Teacher Appreciation Week. That's a significant part, but it's not just celebrating our teachers. It's really the great job that our teachers do. They connect with our families, they connect with our students, their diligence in showing up. I will forever be grateful for what our staff did during COVID. I continue to hear, from other districts, from other people, that Lake Washington actually was a bright spot for many districts as they were thinking about how do we do this. And so thinking about Teacher Appreciation Week coming up is pretty remarkable. And you can see a number of celebrations, holidays, religious and cultural, coming up over the next few weeks. And I did want to just talk briefly just about, as we're realigning some of our resources, thinking about our budget work over the next 16 months now, knowing that we do need to have expenditures back in alignment with our revenues that are coming in. And part of that comes with identifying our priorities. Some of that comes with needing to reduce our expenditures. Both will be true over the next year or so. You've seen this slide. We will continue to come back to this because this visually represents the activity that we're going through right now. We intentionally built up our fund balance due to McCleary, and we've been intentionally spending that down over time, knowing that there would come a point in time where we did need to right-size our budget so that expenditures and revenue were back in alignment. And that point was accelerated due to the pandemic. We used our reserves to navigate much of COVID, and so the timeline for that is the 24-25 school year. And so that's the budget picture. Looking ahead, we did have some reductions centrally, a couple of unfilled positions that we removed. We did some reallocation of administrative staffing at the school level. We did some reductions of associate principal staffing at the elementary level and at our the Emerson Choice campus. So they have a 0.5 associate principal support. And that really was by and large due to school size. And so we have a number of our elementary schools that are, below 450 students, and some substantially below 450 students. And so that decision was made just to modify that staffing level. On the other side of the coin, we have some high schools that are extremely large, both Eastlake and Redmond High School, over 2,000 students. But also, Kamiakin Middle School was a school that we prioritized through this process. They're a school that has 2 elementary schools that are Title I schools that feed into that school, and knowing that they don't receive title support at Kamiakin, but the needs of that community and students do persist. And so we're maintaining an allocation of a 3rd associate principal at that school site moving forward. And the board knows, we heard comment tonight around some of the reallocation of safety net staffing. And so that really is, as we think about our work around inclusion, ensuring that our schools and staff have the supports to be able to think about how do our core classes provide support, accommodation, and learning for our students. And so we actually changed our safety net staffing back to what it was maybe 3 or 4 years ago, repurposing about 16 of our safety nets, 39 current FTE, to provide really instructional coaching for elementary. Because you think about the experience in our classrooms, as we think about moving to a more inclusive model, that means that our teachers and our teams need to think about how are we including and making available learning to all learners. And that is difficult work, but I know our board has spent some time in our inclusion schools, and it is tremendously impressive to see it being done well. And so this isn't about our teachers not doing anything. This is about our teachers shifting their practice, and we know that providing job-embedded coaching supports really is going to provide our staff with additional support as they're learning how to build these inclusive practices within their schools. And then as we think about supporting the physical, behavioral, mental health needs of our students, just a couple of pieces here. As we're thinking about some of these shifts, really prioritizing supports closest to our students. So part of that had to do with our teachers on special assignment, which are central certificated staff that provide support for departments and programs. And so we actually reduced that by about 12.5 FTE out of a total of 55 to ensure that we had resource to be able to provide deans of students at our middle schools, maintain that program, maintain our high school deans of students to support the physical health needs of our students. The board is aware we'll add 4 nurses to decrease caseloads for the 23-24 school year. And then we were able to provide full-time behavioral health contractual service providers at our middle schools this year. That was through grant funding, and it provided such a great support, just knowing the behavioral health needs of our students, the SEL well-being needs of our students. And so we're going to maintain that while we're continuing to look for grant funding to support that moving forward. We did dedicate budget that if we can't find that grant funding, that we're going to maintain those services for our schools or our students at those schools. And then we had some classified reductions as well. Some staff were here to speak to tonight, but we had 3 distinct areas that were making some reductions. One, so all of our secondary custodians are quote-unquote rovers, meaning they actually can be shifted depending on where the need is. But we actually had 5 FTE that was unassigned to schools that our custodial manager was able to place accordingly. And so we actually are stepping away from that 5 FTE. And so that's a reduction in the overall custodial staffing, not to our schools specifically, but when you have a rover team like that, you can fill gaps. And so we are reducing that. You can see we added that in 2020. We're reducing our health room office professional time by about 55 hours out of, I think it's 265 total hours that are allocated right now. And I asked Barbara when those were added, and you can see here the health room office professional program actually started in 2015, and then there was a slight increase in hours in 2016. So that's a program that's been in place for right around 7 or 8 years to provide support for our schools. And one of the questions was, well, what are schools going to do if you reduce hours? And that is something we'll have to work with our schools on. I know, our office professionals, they always work as a team. And so you think about our current health room office professionals, needing to take lunch, needing to step out. That team currently provides support for the health room right now, and we will work with our schools to figure out, like, what does that look like? What are the kind of the ideal or prime time for our health room office professionals to be on site, knowing that there will be a reduction in hours. And then the last one here, we are doing a reduction in our grounds hours. We had one unfilled position, and so we just removed that position from our staffing list. And then, as the board knows, continuing to look at our revenue neutral programs to work with them to make sure they're maintaining a revenue neutral budget position. You're aware the closing of Sammamish River Valley Online. I did meet with families and students last Wednesday afternoon from Sammamish River Valley Online. Actually, Dale joined me in that meeting. To be honest with you, really appreciated them coming and sharing their experiences, their perspective, and I have some follow-up that I said I would do with them around some information they asked for, and look forward to continuing to engage with them, because it's about finding a place and an appropriate education for each of those students. What continued to come through in the stories they were telling, each student was there for a unique reason. And want to make sure that as a district we respond to those unique needs of those families. And then just a couple other pieces. Centrally, doing budget reductions of about 5% of our department budgets. That might seem like nominal. That's north of $1.3 million in realized savings in terms of the budget. And while these are discretionary budgets, so much of our discretionary budgets are required spending. Think about our accelerated programs team. They're the team that manages all of the testing for Quest. They manage all of our AP tests and programs. Well, out of a discretionary budget, they pay for all of that. That's just one example of what a discretionary budget is. It isn't just dollars just sitting there waiting to be spent on things that aren't needed. And so we're going to have to work through that process with all of our department leaders. Shifting funds from general to capital, meaning there are things we can pay for out of our capital budgets, both on the technology side and the facility side, that we're going to be able to do. We'll realize about I believe, and my team may tell me different, I believe that's about $2.3 million in savings to the general fund that we're able to realize through that. And then we have some leased space for staff that we'll be analyzing over the next year to figure out how we step away from those leases, because those are spaces that are paid for through the general fund, that by figuring out different locations for staff here in our district-owned property, we can realize those savings as well. So it's just a reminder of all of the work that's ongoing. While decisions were made, there's work that's continuing over the coming months to do it well, communicate it well, and work with our schools and teams around these things. And so just wanted to remind us of those things and provide some additional context for some of those. That's my report.
Thank you. Any questions for Director Stewart?
Could you remind us, or at least remind me, as to the dollar savings that we're getting of reducing the health room staff? What you said, 55 hours out of 265? Sorry, didn't mean to be a stumper.
No, I should have that on the...
I was just curious.
I'm going to have to get back to you on that.
No,
I apologize for not having...
No, I didn't mean to blindside you. It's just that with the issue having come up, I'm just looking to see what it is we're gaining.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Oh, and on the closing of our the online school, Is there still a consortium with the Puget Sound Educational School Districts of an online school? I've been told there is, and I was wanted to ask a question about it.
I can look into that. I know they were thinking about developing one.
I was
but
told
don't-
that it was up and running, so
Okay.
I don't know. That's why I wanted us to look into it for
I'll
those
look
kids.
into it.
Thank you.
Director Carlson?
I just wanted to clarify, when you say 55 out of 265 hours, does 8 hours translate to 1 FTE, more or less?
So currently, our health room office professionals are either 6 or 6.5 hours daily.
Okay.
And so this is a reduction of 55 hours daily. And so that's about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes per staff member.
Oh, so, okay, now I get it.
Daily.
And this, it's not merely a we'll figure it out for staffing the health rooms, because there was also a good chunk of stuff that the TOSA cuts were balancing out against other behavioral and medical needs. So the 4 nurses, are they filling in gaps? Where do they fit into the system?
So both are providing health services support. They're distinctly different roles.
Yeah.
The 4 nurses, our team will figure out like where's the best placement for those. It won't be let's disperse these 4 consistently across the district. Okay. I've heard that are high schools. Maybe they'll have 1 nurse for 2,000 students, whereas other nurses have a lower ratio, even though they have more schools. We also know that there's unique needs based on age of students. We also know that students that are diabetic at times need actual placed nursing staff. So they're different job responsibilities, and so it's not a one-to-one correlation between the two.
I guess my question was more on the bigger picture of this isn't merely that we are cutting health room office hours, but that we are pushing things around in terms of health service needs for children.
Yeah, when I think, and I kind of categorize it, I should have kept it up, kind of the behavioral, physical, like thinking about the whole child. We do have deans of students at our secondary schools. We do have, full-time counselors, and, we have associate principal staff. So there are many people that are there to address the needs of students. And for the last, 7 years or so, we have been fortunate to have, 6.5 hours of health room office professional time, which has provided a great benefit to our schools. It's allowed our office staff to be more focused in their work. It's, allowed students to have a consistent connection, whether they're coming in because they take meds during the middle of the day. So our school teams are going to have to figure out what that looks like moving forward with that reduction. Yeah.
That was 1.5 hours per person per day?
It's between 1 and 1.25 hours per person per day.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Any additional questions? All right, hearing none. Thank you for your report, Dr. Holman. Our next item is Public and Community Affairs. So I believe we will move to our legislative rep, but I think we're going to have Barbara Posthumus. I should have been better with Associate Superintendent Posthumus coming forward to give a update. And I'm going to ask you to introduce her. It's going to be my next step, huh?
Well, tonight is a brief update for the board, and then at our next board meeting, we'll provide a more detailed update.
Crunch everything. And,
we did not crunch all of the numbers.
We crunch numbers 24 hours a day. So yes, crunching is going on as we speak. But Tonight, I'm just going to give you, as I've done at the prior board meetings, just a high level, and then, as Dr. Holman said, we'll give a detailed presentation next board meeting. But the legislative session did end yesterday on time, April 23rd, so that's a positive that it ended on time. And so in the last final weeks of the session, the legislature approved a flurry of bills, including the operating, capital, and transportation budget. About 1/4 of the bills we've been monitoring were approved by the legislature and will be sent to the governor for signature. The final operating budget process, it's negotiated by a conference committee. They settle all the discrepancies between the House and the Senate. And the final report was released Saturday, and then they vote and approved the budget on Sunday. The adopted biennial budget includes $30.7 billion for education, which accounts for 44% of the state budget. But note that in 2019, the K-12 portion of the budget made up 52% of the state budget. So you also may hear in the press that the budget includes a significant amount of new spending for K-12 education. The reality is that much of that funding is for ongoing commitments, or what they call maintenance level funding, which is staff COLAs, health benefit, enrollment, so maintenance level spending. So again, there's additional revenues, but required expenditures along with that. So we've been working with our legislators. They committed to increasing funding for special education and transportation, which were two of our legislative priorities. They did provide a modest increase in special education funding, but did not come to agreement on our inadequate transportation formula. So we will continue to meet with them on that. And again, we'll get more specific details next board meeting. But we're just glad they finished on time so we can move forward in our planning. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Stewart, anything you would like to add?
No, I think she's covered from Alpha to Omega.
Any questions? No, just want to say thank you. And actually, thank you to Caitlin Cox as well, who has been very active in helping to keep this on track and being going forward and for all the next steps coming up. So look forward to the additional information.
Sorry, just quick.
Director Lillard, you go.
Should we expect the more fulsome update at the next board meeting or by board briefs, or what's the mode and the timing you were thinking?
So you'll receive your typical update this week, and then the more full report will be May 8th.
At the board meeting?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Thanks.
All right, thank you. So we have now entered the point of board member and student board rep comments. Any comments from board members? Director Stewart.
It seems from the other night when we had the meeting with the special ed group, and tonight with some of the comments we heard before they even arrived, there seems to be a lot of either misinformation, lack of information, or at least not being aware of how well it's worked or how well this works or that works. I would encourage us to get with the staff that were involved in the pilots and have them, perhaps whether it's on video or whether it's one-on-ones, to go out and evangelize this program of inclusion. Because if we don't, and to the parents and as well as staff, because if we don't, we saw the other night how the misinformation there really, once the things were discussed and they realized this wasn't being cut and that wasn't being cut, there were a lot of relieved parents. And I really think it's a matter of communications in a lot. Now, there's rough edges, yes. But if we could really increase that communications, because apparently we're really missing the boat with those parents and with staff, because there's staff that are saying they're leaving because they can't do inclusion, and that's unfortunate.
So that was the special education group, the PTSA. On Tuesday, we had a town hall and so had probably about 30 people there. It was a good turnout. And so those are some of the questions that came up with some of the challenges around inclusion concerns that parents and families had. And so I know staff was all there, and I believe there are some next steps that you were busily working on in which to be able to start to address some of the concerns that is being spoken about. Is that fair?
Yes.
So thank you. Director LaLiberty.
We heard from a lot of enthusiastic students and parents tonight about our choral program. Choral, am I saying? I hope I'm saying that correct. I believe I am. Choral program, choral program offerings at our. Well, I'll be honest. A lot of this was new to me. We hadn't received, to my knowledge, any correspondence in advance of the meeting from the community. So I was trying to discern from the comment what exactly the issue was. What I believe I've discerned is that at middle school, we may not have choir programs at every middle school. And so I guess what my request to staff is if we could have a board brief just on what it is we offer, I guess the interest I have is the consistency of our offerings across the district in terms of our, and I guess it's probably, now I think about it aloud, thank you for everyone for letting me do this, it's even broader than choir. I guess it would be music in general across our district, the consistency. And it just sort of a survey of what at our middle school level, because I think that's what I was hearing tonight is.
So are you looking to have that immediately? We do have on our annual work plan.
Yeah, thank you, Director Blazer.
20th to do, I believe that whole concept at K-12 is what the focus is. Is that early enough, or are you looking for something sooner?
Thank you for reminding me of that, Director Blazer. That would be fine for me. I don't need it in a board brief in advance.
But we can make sure that that's part of the information that's collected and provided. Okay.
Because I think that's somebody pipe in if somebody heard it a little bit differently. But from what I was hearing was concern of inequities across our district of what is offered at one middle school versus another.
I would say it even goes to elementary.
And it's in elementary as well.
Yeah, and so this is, as with Director LaLiberty, I was surprised by this, which it always pains me when you get a large group who feel that they need to organize and come to a meeting when I would have loved to get an email 2 or 3 weeks ago when they first discovered what was going on. Speaking as someone who sang in high school and in college, I do feel rather passionately about this. It's akin to band in the sense that band is not something where you'd stop offering it 1 year and then you start it the next year. Band's a consistent thing, and again, we got hit with a lack of information. Not your fault. It's just we don't have the time to react in real time. But I can speak as an epidemiologist, having been through this stupid pandemic. The first major super spreader event in the United States was a Skagit County choir. And I consulted with, I can't tell you how many of my friends who sing at national levels, Sweet Adeline champions of the United States, about how the heck are they going to practice, and tried to give them as best guidance I could. And it's like, well, I don't want you to die, but here's what you could do. Choir of all of our performing arts is the one that probably took the biggest hit in participation during the pandemic. This year, I am not surprised if we've cratered in participation just because the kids didn't proceed through. And I would, at the middle and high school levels in particular, at the elementary school level, it's never been perfectly uniform, but the middle and high school levels, I'd hate to see that program fall by the wayside for a year or two. That's just not how performing arts work. So thank you for what you can do on this. So definitely the survey of what exists, but really what's in the course catalogs for next year. I mean, if there's any of our secondary schools that saying we're not offering choir next year, that is of great concern to me. So thank you for doing homework on something that I care about a lot.
Director Stewart.
Yes, on the same note, I was struck, and I had heard it before too, that when it comes down to equity, vocal music is probably the most equitable program in the arts program. There's no instrument cost up front. There's no extra to it other than talent or desire, which I have neither. But the point is, I think that it's something that we should be able to offer. If it's staffing, we need to know. If it's merely the, if it's staffing, that is one thing. But again, the idea that one school has it and one school doesn't really rubs the parents and I think the rest of the board the wrong way.
So thank you.
Is that clear? Okay. I'm just making sure.
I can get us off on the right foot on the clarity there.
It's okay. Just wanted to make sure we have it on the agenda. And so with that, so just as a update, we were able to visit Evergreen Middle School on Friday and be able to have a great actual visit and learning about their, sorry, it is a late night. I just lost my whole sentence. So Mark, you were there. How about you? You talk about the visit. We did math as well as we did.
Well, we looked at
intervention and transition.
Intervention classes that we had, especially, I'm trying to recall the teacher's name. I should know it because my son wanted to have him as an advisor and wasn't allowed to because he wasn't in that class. Yes, thank you. One of my Facebook buddies. But the point is, it's an important program. It's amazing how, by virtue of the fact that we've kind of had this leveling off growth, that we now have the ability to have the room to have these programs thrive better or to exist better. And I think that shows, that guy, if he could be cloned, please start doing it.
Yes, very useful, very beneficial. Recognize the need for additional space when you're working, especially with inclusion and being able to have opportunities for a timeout location for somebody to be able to go and be able to have an opportunity to be de-escalated at that point. So there's a lot of good things of which we saw. And the math work that was going on, we talked about in our study session in regards to algebra, being able to access algebra by 8th grade, and some of the work they were doing and how they were aligning their work with the math program and curriculum to ensure that students would be able to do so as well as to succeed when they were doing so. So a lot of great work going on there. With that, we have our next board meeting scheduled for May 8th, and we have a study session at 5 p.m. and a board meeting at 7 p.m. And with that, I'll now entertain a motion to adjourn the April 24th, 2023 board meeting.
Move adjournment.
Second.
Moved by Director LaLiberty and seconded by Director Carlson to adjourn. All those at 9:59. All those in favor, please signify by voting aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Then we are adjourned.